Chapter 9. On Wednesday morning, when the alarm clock rung, Edie blinked her emerald green eyes until fully awakened. Wading through the haze of multiple glasses of champagne and numerous joint hits from the night before, she glanced over at Julian sitting on the side of the black leather bed, conversing with a business associate on his cell phone. Following the termination of the call, he laid down in the king-size bed and pulled her next to his ivory, muscular body. "You'll be a member of Myra's house in 24 hours, he told her and added, "The process started yesterday afternoon." "Yesterday," Edie remarked, looking up at Julian with a confused expression. "I can recall Bouchard infusing my astral body with strength and solidity. I also remember him altering my appearance during my incubation period. But I have no memory of my transfer to Myra's house. That's because it was done through submersion." Julian's icy blue eyes sparkled. Through submersion? Edie pondered the two words, and when she figured out their meaning, her pink cheeks flushed with embarrassment, and Julian mussed her hair, laughing. "What exactly are Bouchard and Myra?" she asked him a few seconds later. "They're siblings who dislike each other. Whether they're a random occurrence of nature or aliens, I don't know. You should concentrate on enjoying your life." Julian planted a kiss on her lips, and the couple entwined themselves in the yellow silk sheets, making love with total abandonment, surrounded by beautiful blue skies and towering skyscrapers reflected through the charcoal gray bedroom's glass walls. Afterward, they showered, dressed, and left the apartment with their baggage. Julian's limo service dropped Edie off at home, and Julian was chauffeured to the airport to catch a flight to Paris. "Listen," the brunette human doll spoke to the others seated in the lounge area. "Have you noticed Mia is in here and there's no music playing? I think Mia doesn't like Jane and that Edith got rid of Marie," the red-headed one replied as the blonde one dashed into the lounge area. "You can see through the wall that's enclosing us," she shouted, and the others rushed out to investigate her report. Jane hadn't slept for hours since discovering the comatose women. Her dark brown eyes were swollen with large bags beneath them, and her short reddish dark brown hair was sticking up all over her head like a rooster's comb because she kept running her fingers through it. Bouchard dominated her mind as she paced the parlor, holding the fireplace poker firmly. "He's the lord of this universe. This is his world, his theater stage. He provides the liquor, food, makeup, clothing, shoes, and jewelry for his actresses. Bouchard even resurrects the people he likes from death. He couldn't have Marie fooling around with a male entity that wasn't in his script," she raged. Facing the dressing room, Jane saw the human dolls through the force field and heard them talking and furrowed her eyebrows. "I don't want these women to die in the fire. The parlor has an exit, surely the dressing room has one too. It's probably the room with the glass doorknob that has the iridescent light streaming from the ceiling. Now how in the world can I awaken the comatose women?" she wondered. "There must be a way. This is an alternate world. Everything works differently here," she deduced as the need to see, embrace, and talk to her daughter Charlotte suddenly overwhelmed her, causing her to tear. "I'll see my daughter after I burn this mother down." Jane was startled when Edith appeared in the parlor from out of nowhere. She was wearing a t-shirt, jeans, tennis shoes, and wearing her hair in a ponytail. "Jane, were you waiting for me? How sweet of you. I have to pick up a few things." She grabbed a crystal wine decanter, removed the crystal stopper, and poured some red wine into a glass. "It certainly is dreary around here with no Marie and no music playing. You're responsible for that." Jane shot back. "Ouch." Edith laughed, and when she heard the dressing room panels being pushed open, turned to face the room and saw the human dolls. "The sluts are here," she said, taking a sip of wine. "We aren't prostitutes," the redhead snapped back. "Clarence told every single one of us that he was divorced." Edith countered, "But you guys kept on seeing him after finding out he was married. Why aren't you angry with Clarence for starting those relationships?" Jane said, adding her 2 cents. "You stay out of this," Edith yelled, turning back to the human dolls. When I asked Bashort to imprison your asses, I got my revenge, she chuckled. Taking those women away from their families, friends, and daily lives is petty and evil, Jane hollered as her dark brown eyes narrowed, filled with loathing for Edith. They made me suffer, shacking up with my husband for 3 or 4 days. They got what they deserved. Edith took another sip of wine. Clarence was unquestionably a womanizer. Could he have murdered those women who vanished from Santa Monica decades ago? Jane contemplated and before she knew it asked Edith, did Clarence kill some women in Santa Monica? Clarence had a problem and struggled to manage his illness. Edith replied while her pinkish complexion turned paler than Snow White's. This woman is off her rocker, Jane concluded. So those women were killed by Clarence. Disgusted, she shook her head. They died because you chose to overlook his depravity. My Clarence wasn't going to rot in prison or be electrocuted for killing some cheap whores who chose to work in a dangerous profession. Edith glared at Jane. Her eyes were like daggers. When the human dolls perceived they were intimately involved with a serial killer, a wave of shock and humiliation swept across their faces. You guys, Jane said, placing the fireplace poker above her head to draw their attention and highlight her point. I think the iridescent light in the room with the glass doorknob can get you back home. I can't guarantee it, but it's worth taking a chance than staying here. Enter the room one at a time. A roar of jubilation filled with laughter, smiles, and tears erupted from the human dolls at the prospect of returning home. They hugged each other as the redhead pushed the door with the glass knob all the way open. You can't leave, Edith yelled with her hands clenched into fists and stomping her feet. A mask of anger shrouded her face. I forbid you to enter that room, she shouted as the blonde human doll that was the first to do so. You must stay here and pay for sleeping with my husband, Edith shrieked. A few moments later, the brunette human doll entered the room. At that point, Edith dashed toward Jane, bellowing, I'm going to kill you for telling those sluts about that room. Before she could attack her, Jane struck Edith's arms and right shoulder with the fireplace poker. Wincing from the pain, an enraged Edith hurled crystal wine glasses and crystal wine decanters at her. Jane ducked to avoid the objects, but one of her feet slid across some shattered glass that caused her to fall, cut her knee, and lose control of the poker. To escape Edith's wrath, Jane crawled in excruciating pain beneath a large mahogany table. To her horror, Edith dragged her out by her ankles. Let go of me, you Frankenstein monster! Offended by Jane calling her Frankenstein, Edith's green eyes blazed with cold-bloodedness as she straddled Jane and repeatedly smacked her face with such force that Jane's head swayed from side to side. Using her remaining strength, Jane managed to grab a wine decanter stopper that came in contact with her fingertips and smash it against Edith's head. You bitch! Edith rolled off Jane, clutching the side of her head. In turn, Jane scooted away and secured the fireplace poker. When she stood, the pain from the knee cut shot throughout her leg as Edith rushed toward her, not as fast as before, but she was still crazed and fuming. Jane, ignoring the pain, struck Edith as hard as she could on the right shoulder with the poker's tip. Damn you. As Edith recoiled in pain, Jane rammed the poker's arrow tip into Edith's right shoulder once again, creating a larger and deeper gash, drawing lots of blood. You've hurt me. Edith backed away from Jane, who continued to advance, heel and toe toward her, swinging the fireplace poker as Edith raced up the steps of the dressing room. Keep away from me, Edith demanded while her lips and chin trembled. I won't leave you alone. You intended to kill me! An incensed Jane pushed Edith and she fell backwards into the force field. No! Edith screamed, realizing her promising future with Julian August and a career as an international interior decorator for the rich and famous was over. The redhead and the jet black-haired human dolls pulled Edith all the way into the dressing room. They stood her up, and the redhead gave Edith a hefty slap on the right and left sides of her face. That's from all of us. Then the two human dolls dragged Edith toward the room with an iridescent light. No, please don't do this. I want to live, Edith begged. Nonetheless, they pushed her inside the room and a gut-wrenching howl, sounding like an animal being slaughtered, emerged from the room. Jane watched the very last human doll, the redhead, enter the room with the glass doorknob and then Mia. After they departed, an uncanny silence rifled through the suite which began to swing back and forth and shake as if an earthquake was occurring. Jane scurried into the kitchenette, tended her knee injury, and found a large dish towel to wrap around it. She then took some matchbooks out of a drawer and bottles of olive oil out of a cabinet and put them in her tote bag. It was lying on the couch in the living room. As Jane secured the tote across her shoulders, she murmured, "I better check on those comatose women."